House. So we have Robert, we have Donald Wayne, and we have Kevin. And they're going to speak to us and get us up to date on what's going on and help us open our hearts to some future vision. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Robert Hall. I'm the director of His Joshua House. I just want to start off by saying thank you for the laptop that we did receive from you. It is being put to use and such, and so that we're able to be up to speed, so to speak. A wild game dinner actually netted about $60,000. And during that wild game dinner, there was also Gerald, our president, spoke of our mortgage that we wanted to pay off, and also some other plans that we have of having transitional housing as well. And from that, we've actually had a couple of people come forward, and they're going to pay off the mortgage at His Joshua House, in which at that time $46,000. And so God is blessing us with that. And so that our vision are preparing to have transitional housing and such, because the men they don't, either they have poor history or they have a criminal background and such, so that and the limited amount of housing around in this area because we are growing and things in the area. Just Marble Falls is not a little town anymore, such as it once used to be. And with that, I would like to bring up Donald Wayne, and he can.
Hey, y'all. I'm a former resident of Joshua House. I came in September, around the 16th or 18th of 2018. A little background on me. I was born and raised here. Raised very well, very healthy, normal family. Took a wrong path, got into alcohol, drugs, very early age. And it destroyed my life from the time I was about 17 up till the day I came in Joshua House. I came into Joshua House homeless, unable to walk physically, around 150 pounds, had a broke leg. We are very blessed to have Joshua House in this community. I can tell you from experience, I've spent 20 years of my life going in and out of jails, rehab facilities, both state funded and the best money can buy. Been to state hospitals for mental issues twice, locked up there. Each one of these visits, I would come back out and go back into the same pattern of drinking and using immediately. What sets the Joshua House apart from every facility I've ever been in, when we come into these facilities, usually there's a whole lot of baggage. I came in with Joshua House. I had been unemployed and unemployable for years. I carried, the normal things: no home, no place, burnt all the bridges with family, no vehicle, no driver license. I had a lot of arrest warrants out. I had 7, 8 arrest warrants out in 3 different counties. So going into the Joshua House, these treatment facilities that I've been in a lot, they're real great about educating you about the disease of addiction and alcoholism and what not to do. But at the end of that 30 days or 90 days, as soon as it's up, the door's open and you're gone. And you walk back out, still having warrants, no driver license, no vehicle. There's not much of a chance to succeed at that. It's just that would be a hole for anyone to overcome, much less someone that's dealing with the disease of alcoholism and addiction. The Joshua House, it put me in the 12-step fellowship that I was able to treat my alcohol and addiction with, and it gave me a start there's a lot of one-on-one time spent with Robert and just numerous volunteers that's willing to go around. Things that seem simple, but working on getting a driver license for someone that doesn't have a social security card, no ID, no birth certificate, just nothing is a process. And to spend the time to set someone up to have a fair shot at life, when they get out, it's just, there's no other facility I've been to, and I've been to a bunch of them that does what the Joshua House does anywhere in the state. And I can't tell you how many I've been to. We're very blessed. September, I'll be coming up on 3 years clean and sober, and it's not something that I've been able to do my whole life. I on my own could not stay sober a week my entire life since the first time I drank or used alcohol or drugs. That is just, it's amazing. I mean, by the time I left the Joshua House, I was able to afford a vehicle. I had driver license. My legal issues were in check, manageable. The thing we struggled with, even coming out of there, finding a place to live was a very tough chore. Criminal records, negative credit scores. It's just in the housing market like it is. There's so many options. There's not many people even want to take a chance on someone like me. We ended up. It took 3 of us. We just kept talking to these people, begging them, but we were upfront with them about our past. That this is, what we are. We're willing to do whatever it takes. We ended up finding a place in Horseshoe Bay. They wanted $1,500 rent, $1,500 deposit. Time they ran our stuff, the deposit doubled. The rent went up $300 a month per month, and we had to pay first and last month's rent. So it cost us right at $6,000 between the 3 of us to move in. And quite frankly, if you look at our record and stuff, it's a huge risk for them. I didn't hold that against them at all. I wouldn't have let me in their house, honestly, if you just look at us on paper, So, it is something that would be a continued beneficial help to guys coming in and going through the Joshua House. I don't know, the Joshua House, it's a great investment in your community. It gave me the tools to go being a drain on society, to a good productive member of society, and that helps not just me and make my family happy, but it's just good for the community. Since getting clean and sober, Sheriff Boyd has been great. He's asked me to speak at schools and different functions about the dangers of drug and alcoholism. It's wonderful to be a productive member today for me, especially with my past, and I would not be here without Joshua House. So I personally thank everyone for their support here of it, and that's kind of all I've got, I guess.
All right, just want to get your picture up here if I could. I'm smiling at you. Great, thank you.
Sure.
All right, good morning. I'm Kevin. I am a former resident of Joshua House as well. By the grace of God, I've almost had 13 months sobriety, all due to Joshua House. My story is really no different than a lot of other residents that come into Joshua House. Started early with alcohol. I was never really a drug person, but alcohol was kind of my drug of choice. I started at 14, and by the time I was legal enough to drink, I racked up a DWI. Following year, I had another one. So as I matured, so to speak, and as the process continued, I I continued to drink, and I always knew that I had a drinking problem. I just didn't know what to do with it. Eventually, as I left my hometown of Dallas, I came here, and I was able to kind of thwart those problems with alcohol as I moved away from some of the things that I was doing back home, and I was able to establish a career path. And I spent a lot of years in hospitality business and spent about 12 years at a club here locally where I was able to maintain a job and kind of have some upward mobility at the same time, maintain my drinking career, which eventually led to my latest problem a couple of years ago with my fourth DWI. And after racking my brain and trying to figure out what to do, I had heard about Joshua House, and I finally got up the courage enough to make a phone call after I looked at the website, after I looked at some other things, and I made a phone call to Robert, and we talked, and it was the first time that somebody had asked to pray with me over the phone, complete stranger. And I had this, as the prayer continued, I had this welling feeling that something was going on. And so I entered the Joshua House. Robert came and picked me up from my house. I had a unique situation where I actually had a house, and I had a little bit of stability. I had a good support network. I didn't have the ability to be sober on my own. So I got into the Joshua House, and I went through the beginning pangs of everything and trying to figure out how to live a life of sobriety. And with mentorship and direction and sponsorship and a program that Joshua House laid out for me, I was able to progress not only sober, but mentally sober, mentally clear of things. I still had some of the problems that Donald Wayne had talked about. My driver's license had been taken, and then I had it reinstated. And I actually had a Social Security card and birth certificate, but I had to figure out how to progress forward. Having some of the things taken away from me that a normal person would have as a just normal person in society. The driver's license, sobriety, or maybe learning to drink like a normal person, which for me, that's not a thing. I have to be completely and totally sober, which is some of the things that Joshua House and AA has taught me. That if I'm going to be productive, if I'm going to continue my life as a decent human being, that sobriety is my only path. So as I progressed with Joshua House and with the program, I was afforded a new career path as well. And I'm actually employed by Robert through his company in construction, which is something I always wanted to learn, but I never had the chance, never had the gumption, never had the wherewithal to try and move towards something different than what I was doing. And so with Joshua House giving me the courage to be sober, it also gave me the courage to leap into another career path, which has been a blessing as well, because I get to play with toys I never got to play with before, and power tools and things like that. And so it's just been uplifting, and then being able to transition to months ahead into Joshua House, to seeing people come in and people successfully complete the program, and people like Donald Wayne that have been in the program would come back and helped with everybody, and some of the other people, some of the other residents that were previously there, and they come and they foster us, and they try and encourage us that this is the end game, this is the end path to move out of Joshua House, to progress with life, to go forward. And I'm really blessed that I finally shut my own mouth and my own mind and opened it to other things that some of the people that had come before me, and Robert, and the sober people that I work with also, were able to give me as far as advice and mentorship and just heartfelt talks. So the next thing I know, and it was just a blink of an eye, a year has gone by. A year, 365 days. I got sober on my dad's birthday, and I was able to leave on my father's birthday on June 29th, and I was able to go back to my own house. And I was able to go back to my life, but not a life that I knew prior to, a brand new life. I was fortunate enough to be able to transition back to my house, but there is such a need for a transition for a lot of people in a new way of thinking, but also a new way of dwelling. You know, the transition house is an amazing idea for former residents that helps them get a foothold and get a handhold on their next step. And maybe not just a place to lay your head, but also, you know, earmarking certain things like furniture,
Yeah.
or dishes, small monetary gains for people that are leaving Joshua House that need those ups. You know, they need a little push, little help. And also, you know, with graduating, I should say, from Joshua House and being able to move forward, I have a unique ability to be an administrative assistant to Robert. And so now I get to have the ability to utilize the laptop you guys have purchased for us. And so I get to delve into some of the things that, so many positive aspects of looking at wild game dinner, looking at financial gains for the house, looking at all these things and all these gifts that not only Rotary has done, but all people in the surrounding community. I mean, just outpouring of gifts, whether they be mental, heartfelt, monetary, all those things that seems like Joshua House has brought into its own family. And it's really amazing the more that I meet sober people, meet well-to-do people, that there's so many things that are pulling for people like myself, people like Donald Wayne, people like Joshua House that are in Joshua House. There's so many people pulling for us that it's amazing. You know, when I see Buck, I smile, you know, when it's Bible study, and it's just, you know, he's there not only in spirit or financially through Rotary Club and things like that, but just a face to put to a positive motivation for all of us. And it's amazing the mentorship that there is, the fostering the relationships, and just the momentum that we have, and that I would love to see continue from gifts, donations, mentality, whole breadth of things. It's just amazing. So it's amazing things, I think, for the future of Joshua House. And I guess that's about it. So thank you for your time.
Your vision about the it of the transition house, just real quickly, by the land or tiny homes. So I'm on the board of his Joshua House. I'm like full true reveal. But this is an exciting, prayerful time because the house is paid for. Thank you, God. To be debt free and not be, you know, a slave to the lender. Hallelujah. But now what's next? And there is a huge gap of what happens when the door opens and says, good for you, you graduated. So there's a little bit of an idea, but we're putting it out there to the community to say what's next.
And thank you, Becky. And I wanted to thank you too. You know, where all the men that come through are successes in that they receive the unconditional love of Christ, you know, in one form or another and such. But these men and countless others continue to come back in such, in which is where the reward is for it, because it is a struggle, in that we push, and if they push forward through it and all, and so one of our first president actually takes care of the website for us, and such, so it keeps us up to speed and things. There's actually there's a couple of different propositions. Actually, there's 3 propositions, but pulled up here recently, and actually there's a acre and a half that's actually behind his Joshua house that is for sale. And it's an old county barn and stuff that's on it, but there's also enough room to build a house back there. And there's a gentleman that I've actually talked to, and that they did a transitional house, a 6-bedroom transitional house, so that you have a common living and kitchen, and then the bedrooms off on that, so that it would be able to house it there and be. Also, there's actually been talk of a travel trailer or mobile home, tiny homes and such, and so that they can move into that as well. Also, there's been a couple of different men that would actually bring up Hoover Valley Baptist Church that is not being occupied and such, and so that. And where the latest that I got from that was that any organization with a viable plan, which we have developed with strategic planning and such last year, and such that they would actually turn that over to that ministry. So there's those possibilities and stuff.
I'm excited. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Y'all are the best. Appreciate